Now let's talk about alcohol. Should you have it or should you not have alcohol at your party? Well, it's a tough call for some. For some, it's not a tough call at all. And perhaps your bylaws, perhaps your articles, perhaps your organization has a philosophy that no alcohol is going to be permitted at any event. God bless you if you have that. You don't have the issue of dealing with alcohol. You still probably have some precautions to watch for, though, and let's not be naive about that. But alcohol, if you are going to have it, should you have beer and wine only, or should you have mixed drinks? Well, you can understand the increased liability for having mixed drinks. Should you have an open bar? I would say no. An open bar is only going to foster binge drinking, which is going to create problems and increase your liability. What successful providers have done with a bar is they may provide 1 or 2, maybe 3 tickets for drinks at the bar. Or then maybe it turns to a cash bar after that, or maybe some just have a cash bar. In all events, if you're going to have alcohol at a third-party site, I'd talk to the bartender beforehand. You don't want the bartender flirting with your attractive workers and over-pouring drinks or pouring stiffer drinks. Let them be on your team that night and know that you don't want any of that silliness to occur because their organization is responsible as well. Now, there's a lot to talk about on alcohol. Let's talk about something that you may think is unrelated to alcohol, food. You want to have a lot of food at your holiday party. What kind of food do you want? Well, you don't want to have salty food, and you don't want to have greasy food. So here's Greg Bader talking about food to have at your holiday party. What sense does that make? How is that legal? It's very legal. Salty food, greasy food will encourage people to drink more. They also don't absorb alcohol. The type of food that you want to have at your holiday party are proteins and starches like meats and cheeses and things like that. Load people up with starches, load people up with proteins. It's going to absorb the alcohol. Cut off your bar about an hour before the event. Have a raffle, have an activity, have some program at the very end so that there's an hour free from drinking. Have some food at the end as well before people go out into the middle of the night after they've enjoyed the party. Don't have, well, I was going to say, don't have, what's that called that hangs over the door? Mistletoe. There you go. Don't have silliness like mistletoe. And I think you can put the 2 and 2 together. A couple of drinks, a couple of mistletoe, somebody who wants to flirt with somebody else. Why do you need that type of headache whatsoever? All right, so alcohol. Alcohol, think about food, think about limiting, think about talking to the hotel staff or the event staff, and think about no silliness to encourage other type of behavior. Now, some other things that you can do as well in larger groups, you could hire an off-duty police officer, and that's not to bust people, but you got to figure that somebody's going to get too intoxicated that night. A lot of times having an off-duty police officer can monitor that scene and give you that professional input, and they really put some ease for you that night because they know how to manage it, they know how to catch it, they know how to suggest alternatives, they know how to talk like dad to whoever that employee is who's drunk too much and encourage them to take a ride and get a ride home. And that's something else you want to do. You've got to have a plan before the party starts and imagine and believe that somebody is going to drink too much through no fault of their own or perhaps fault of their own. But you want to have a taxi service, you want to have a sober staff member or members be willing to provide rides, and that's without any guilt associated to that person. So have that set up beforehand. I also like having a staff member watch the bartender, watch the event, not like a school hall monitor, but sort of inobtrusively assign someone that duty so that you can avoid a problem before it occurs. Now, let's talk about conducting the party. That's the second step. I know a lot of the parties that I go to, you have a lot of board members present. You have some community members. Well, I've always seen your board members stuck at one table with your executive staff. Let's break out from that. Let's increase our board ability to be a part of your organization. Have it be a duty with your board members to sit at different tables and be the table host. Have your staff encouraged to do the same thing as well. Mingling. Mingling is a skill, a high social skill. You may need to teach your staff how to mingle, especially if you're going to have community members present. It may be a good part of a staff meeting. Name tags, I like to have name tags, especially for your staff members, because outside third parties don't know who your staff is, and they should be distinguished in that way. And it gives a little elevation, a little importance to your staff. We've talked about security, we've talked about behavior. Don't bring your own lampshade, and if you're the executive director or a person in authority, I think that night you can not drink at all and keep all of your noodles on board. And I guess the explanation that I would provide is, if you were driving, if you were the captain of a ship, would you drink while you are passengering your people? Well, consider your holiday party as a big cruise ship and you're the captain behind the wheel. Things to do after the party is over. Let me ask you this question. Do you think that sexual harassment can occur at a holiday party? You betcha it can. It can occur at all different levels. It can occur from the 2-3 drink person who offers a ride to the cute young thing that he's always had his eye on, a ride home. There's been lawsuits relating to that. Things may happen. And if things do happen, you have a continuing duty as the employer to investigate sexual harassment or sexual discrimination claims that even may arise at a third-party site like your holiday party. So don't take those things for granted. Record, watch, and investigate promptly as soon as that party is over, or sometimes even while the party occurs. You don't tolerate in any way, shape, or form any type of harassment or discrimination. That's your policy. And, relief. The party at some point ends, and when the party is over, you've achieved your purpose. You've given appreciation to your staff, you've given them thanks, you've given them the opportunity to meet you. It may be the first time that they ever have met you in a social setting, and they take that meeting with you back and they tell mom and dad and grandma and their husband and their brother, and that's exactly what you want to have occur. You want a good impression of you with that party with your staff, so you have to create the opportunity of meeting them and mingling yourself at those parties. So thanks for listening. I'm Greg Bader, here to help you along with the Michigan Assisted Living Association with whatever may come up at those events, but mainly we hope good holiday cheer, fun, and good appreciation for your staff. Keep doing what you're doing, because what you're doing is very important.